This is the history of your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. The story about his comics. Spider-Man is a superhero of Marvel Comics created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. His first appearance was in Amazing Fantasy number 15, published on August 10, 1962. That was the last comic of the Amazing Fantasy anthology at that time, and due to the success it had, 7 months later, The Amazing Spider-Man number 1 was released. For decades, no attempts were made to relaunch the title or continue with the 16, but in 1995, the Marvel editor Tony Fingeroth decided to create the story that would fill the gap between Amazing Fantasy number 15 and The Amazing Spider-Man number 1. Marvel published 3 Spider-Man stories in Amazing Fantasy 16 to 18, December 1995 to March 1996, each written by Kurt Busiek and painted primarily by Paul Lee. The second volume of the Amazing Fantasy series includes 20 issues, from August 2004 to June 2006. Marvel announced that the new 15th issue would present the new generation of heroes in a 50 pages independent issue, hoping they would become as popular as Spider-Man. These heroes include Mastermind Excalibur, Blackjack, The Great Video, Monster, Heartbreak Kid, and Positron. Origin. Spider-Man broke with the stereotype of a superhero. He was a young student with a normal life. He was the typical excluded and lonely adolescent that anyone could be. He did not have a mentor. He was not anyone's assistant. The real identity of Spider-Man is Peter Parker, an orphan raised by his Aunt May and his Uncle Ben in New York City, after his parents, Richard and Mary Parker, died in a plane crash. He led a normal student life, until one day, after Flash Thompson humiliated him again, he entered a science exhibition that was based on experiments with radioactivity. While he watched the demonstration of a radioactive ray, a spider descended with a cobweb almost invisible from the ceiling. The spider is struck by lightning and falls into Peter's hand. While he wonders why the insect shines so much, receives a sting that little by little bothers him more, makes him feel strange. When he leaves the exhibition and walks down the street, he does not realize that a car is about to run over him, and almost without thinking he jumps and climbs to the wall that was nearby. You could say that this is the first time he used the arachnid sense, even if he does not mention it in the comic. After testing his powers in the environment, he sees an ad that says, "We will give you $100 if you endure 3 minutes with Hogan in the ring." After he's successfully participating in the contest, a TV producer comes by offering to do a show for him, telling him that he will make a fortune, and that he does not take off his mask. It gives him a magical touch. He creates a suit and bracelets with cartridges filled with sticky substance to use as a spider's web. At the end of the first show, after getting rid of more people wanting to hire him, he meets a thief who was chased by a policeman and lets him escape. The thief went down the elevator and the angry policeman asks why he did not stop him. Spider-Man answers, "That's your problem. I'm tired of people taking me for a fool. From now on, I'll just think of number 1. I mean myself." One day, after many shows and covers of newspapers arriving from a performance, he meets a policeman in front of his house that gives him the news that his Uncle Ben was murdered, but that he is richer because they have the thief cornered in the old warehouse of the port that accompanies his son, who is in the house of his neighbors. Peter does not pay attention, enters his house, dresses in Spider-Man's suit, and goes out to capture the thief. When he managed to stop him, he realizes that he's the criminal who fled days ago, and he gives it to the police, hanging him with a spider's web. Feeling guilty about the death of Uncle Ben, he goes crying from the place, having learned that a great power carries a great responsibility. That phrase is a line included in a text box in the final panel of the first Spider-Man story. Then, in future occasions, it would be attributed to the deceased Uncle Ben. Characters. As a superhero, he had to face many villains such as the Green Goblin, Venom, Carnage, Dr. Octopus, Sandman, Lizard, Electro, Rhino, Vulture, Shocker, Black Cat, Tombstone, Mystery, Kraven, Scorpion, Hobgoblin, Kingpin, Marlon, Morbius, Alistair Smythe, or as he calls himself, the Ultimate Spider Slayer, Carrion, the Prowler, Puma, Doctor Doom, the Punisher. His first appearance was in Amazing Spider-Man 129 as antagonist. Still missing villains to list, but I will not mention them. Instead, I'll make a special mention to Mephisto, creator of the Ghost Rider and responsible for many evils in the Marvel Universe. He's not exactly an enemy of Spider-Man, but he is a Marvel Universe enemy. He has an important role in order to Aunt May not die, offering a pact to Peter in the series of 4 comics Spider-Man One More Day, published between September and December 2007. As Peter Parker would be accompanied by characters like his Aunt May, his Uncle Ben, his friend Harry Osborn. With time, Flash Thompson would stop bothering him and would also be his friend. J. Jonah Jameson, his boss in the newspaper, and would have several loves as Felicia Hardy or Black Cat, although she was always more interested in Spider-Man than in Peter Parker. Gwen Stacy, Mary Jane Watson, Liz Allen, Betty Brant, and so on. Spider-Man has different stories, and being a world of comics, these diverse stories include different costumes and versions of the Arachnid. I'm going to show you some of the most interesting ones. Likewise, I think I'll dedicate a video to practically everyone. Costumes: Iron Spider, Superior Spider-Man, Spider-Man Future Foundation, Captain Universe, The Amazing Batman. Versions: Blood Spider, Silk, Pestilence, Spider-Punk, Assassin Spider, and so on. And well, the video is over. Come on, close it. Continue with your life.